Of all the Hoenn Gym Leaders, which would be the best competitively? This question is actually more interesting than you might think. In a first-time playthrough of Pokemon Emerald, the Gym Leaders are obviously going to be pretty weak. Any endgame team would easily defeat them, and it wouldn't be close at all against a half-decent, competitive Gen 3 team. Roxanne's initial team is literally just Geodude and Nosepass, with such frightening options as Tackle and Rock Throw. But in the Pokemon Emerald post-game, you are able to rematch the Gym Leaders. And by the fourth rematch against them, their teams are at their most powerful. Some of these Gym Leader rematches are actually pretty tough to beat with a normal in-game team, especially because these are double battles, which are a bit more complicated. But how would these late-game, peak-power Gym Leaders fare in an actual competitive Pokemon setting? These rematches are played in a 6v6 doubles format, and there is actually a competitive 6v6 doubles format for Gen 3 that we can look at as a reference point called Gen 3 Doubles OU. There's also the Ore Coliseum format, which is more similar to modern VGC, but this is pretty different to what's possible on a Pokemon Emerald cartridge. This format is played on the Pokemon XD Gales of Darkness game, which has team preview, the pick 4 system, and even shows numerical HP values in the UI. So Gen 3 Doubles OU would be the closest analog to fighting these Gym Leaders on an actual Emerald cartridge. Some of these Gym Leader teams would technically be illegal in the format, but we can just pretend they are not for the sake of argument. That's fine. So let's get right into it, folks. At the very bottom of the list, the worst Gym Leader in the game, it's gotta be Watson, the electric type Gym Leader. And there's a simple reason for this. Watson has barely any non-electric type moves on his team. He's got Focus Punch and Swift on this Electabuzz, which are not the best. Focus Punch can be good, but it's easily stopped by just attacking the thing. Raichu has Slam. I mean, that's not great. And then Manectric has Bite. It's got low power. It's Dark type. It's just not very good. And we have Rollout and Explosion from Electrode. Explosion's a good move, but this team is extremely limited in what it can actually do because a simple ground type will just absolutely halt your entire world. And you could throw in an Incada and it would defeat Watson here. You could throw in Numel or some horrendous ground type and it would have a positive matchup against this entire team. Now, of course, all these Gym Leaders are going to have the inherent drawback of being themed around one type that obviously makes you weak to all the same type. I'm not going to hold that against them too much, of course, because that's just the nature of being a Gym Leader, but in this instance, you got no good coverage options here. Watson, you've got a pretty terrible selection of moves. I think Raichu can get Surf, you would really value that, just to be able to hit a ground type with something. Slam is not it. I don't think that Slam is going to be your saving grace here. So Watson is going to have a lot of problems competitively against anything. Especially because Earthquake is one of the most common attacks in Gen 3 Doubles OU, being a fantastic spread move that hits the entire field. I think Watson is going to die in a couple of turns. The entire team is going to perish very quickly in any competitive doubles battle. Up next, we've got Flannery, who has a bit more going on than poor old Watson. Flannery has Arcanine here. Arcanine's a great doubles Pokemon, intimidating both enemies on the field. It's got Helping Hand to provide a bit of support to allies for bonus damage. You at least have a bit of coverage. Macargo has Rock Slide that hits both opponents for stab damage. Incredible stuff from Macargo. You got the Overheat White Herb combo. Hey, that's alright. You can do a couple overheats. And you've got Sunny Day Solar Beam on many of these Pokemon, so you at least have some Fire Grass coverage to work with. That's a good coverage combo. Camerupt here has Earthquake, and Torkoal has Explosion. Great doubles move. Explosion hits the entire field, so you can get a lot out of that. Unfortunately though, I mean, Flannery is going to have a lot of problems with a lack of protection here. Protect is an important move in doubles, especially because you're running Earthquake on your own Camerupt and Explosion on the Torkoal, which is going to defeat your own team. These moves attack your ally as well, and all of your Pokemon are weak to ground. Explosion will probably KO everything here except maybe Macargo. So if you had Protect on a couple of these Pokemon, perhaps that would be alright. The other thing is that to get access to Solar Beam, you have to spend a turn using Sunny Day. You don't just have the coverage to begin with. And that's a lot to ask. Clicking Sunny Day, you're leaving yourself vulnerable for a turn, and doubles is fast-paced. That turn is valuable, and as previously stated, a lot of things have Earthquake. You're probably just gonna be in a lot of trouble very quickly before you're even able to get your Solar Beams going. This Houndoom also doesn't even have a Fire-type move. You could cut Raw and put a Flamethrower or Fire Blast or something on that instead of Raw. I don't know if Raw is gonna help you very much on this Houndoom, just being honest. You got Attract randomly on a bunch of these guys. You got Bounce on Rapidash. Just not very good moves here. Not very powerful. Even though this has more going on than Watson, it could probably have a higher chance of victory. I don't think that the odds of victory are fantastic for Flannery, I'm sorry to say. I'm sorry to tell you. Up next, we've got Brawley, the fighting type gym leader. And this one's a little bit disappointing because this one could have been so much better if it had a couple different things on it. Fighting types are actually not too bad in doubles. Many of them get fake out, which is a great doubles move. Just flinching an enemy and, allowing your ally to freely move and set something up. Hitmontop here has intimidate. That's great in doubles. Many of these Pokemon are running protect. That's good. But the sets are just odd. The sets are odd, especially this Medicham set, which has Focus Punch, Dual Screens, and Psychic. Psychic on Medicham is dealing no damage. That's a pure power physical threat, and you're putting Psychic on that. That's not going to deal very much damage at all. Focus Punch as your only attack. Maybe you get a good predict in there, but I don't know about that one. I don't know about all that. Focus Punch is much better in singles, where you have less things that can attack you at once. In doubles, I don't know if it's got much merit. Hitmontop has Pursuit for no reason. That's dealing 2 damage maximum to anything. It's got counter, maybe you get a surprise KO with that, but triple kick is an intriguing option as well. I don't know if that's your best bet. I think Hitmontop can get fake out, and Medicham can get fake out. If they just had fake out, this team would be faring much better. At least the Hariyama has fake out, and Belly Drum Citrus Berry is an okay combo. Maybe that could do stuff with support from the screens. You also have Earthquake, but nothing to really block Earthquake from your allies, except for protection. I suppose there's no fighting flying type in this generation yet, but still. Machamp is probably your best Pokemon here because it has Bulk Up with a Citrus Berry and Cross Chop, Rock Slide, and Focus Punch, which are all pretty solid. Machamp could ramp up, defeat some stuff. The Hitmonchan set is a little bit tragic with Fire Punch and Ice Punch. Not physical moves in Generation 3, those are special attacks. So just a strange choice to have so many special attacks on this team. But because of the Machamp win con, the fake out from Hariyama, the Intimidate from Hitmontop, and maybe the screen support plus these boost sweepers could actually be okay. The Hitmonlee is at least fast. It has Bulk Up 2 and Earthquake, which is a good attack. So this team has a bit more going for it than the previous, but it's clearly not very good, is it? Up next, we've got Tate and Liza, the Psychic type gym leaders, with this interesting team. Psychic tends to be a pretty good monotype option in Gen 3 actually, because there's just a lot of good Psychic types in the game. I don't know if these Psychic types are particularly fantastic. I mean, you're not running Metagross or Jirachi or anything, but the team is pretty well rounded compared to the other ones. You have some levitating Pokemon, so you're not totally destroyed by ground moves. You got Xatu as well, who's ground immune. Water type in Slowking, and a ground type in Claydol. Way more well-rounded on the types department. So that's a positive. You've got some pretty nice doubles moves and some synergy here with the Claydol having Earthquake and allies that are immune to Earthquake. That's actually alright. You've got Explosion, and at least you've got teammates that resist Explosion in Lunatone and Solrock, so the enemy's going to take more from that than you are. And you've got Protect on Hypno, Slowking, so you can explode, protect yourself while defeating them. That could be good. You have some utility here with Hypnosis to put them to sleep, Yawn to put them to sleep. Light Screen gives you some protection against incoming attacks. And Calm Mind on a couple of these Pokemon as well is some sort of, win condition. You can actually boost something up, and the Xatu even has Chesto Berry with Rest. That's a pretty nice synergy there, allowing you to heal all the way back to full health and get more out of your boosts. You got Confuse Ray on it. Maybe you get lucky with Confuse Ray and do some stuff. That being said, I mean, the Pokemon are pretty weak. Lunatone and Solrock are low tier choices. Solrock has a pretty bizarre set, honestly, with Sunny Day, Solar Beam, Flamethrower. It's not a special attacker. It's not going to hit very hard with any of that. It's got a Citrus Berry. That's pretty good, I guess, for a temporary heal, but is it good enough? Probably not. But, I mean, this has way more going on than the previous teams for sure, but still quite flawed, still limited, and still probably pretty low power level. Up next, we've got Hoenn, the Water-type gym leader of Pokemon Emerald. And this one is also a little bit disappointing. This one could have had such potential. Missed the mark in some areas. As for monotypes, Water is one of the better ones. Water type just tends to be pretty good, and with like Kingdra here, who actually is only weak to Dragon, as Water Dragon is a really nice typing that cancels out many weaknesses. And you've got Whiscash with the Great Water Ground typing. You could do worse for a monotype team. There's also some semblances of a game plan here. This is a team that is in fact breaking the rules because it has some illegal options. Double Team is a banned move in actual Gen 3 OOU, Evasion Clause. So is Fissure and Sheer Cold and Guillotine. This is an incredibly illegal team, but as a gesture of goodwill, we can pretend that this is legal for just a moment, just for Hoenn here to have his fun. And if this was legal, I mean, it could cheese some wins with these strategies. Double team raises your evasion. What if you just miss everything and evade justice? And fissure, 30% accurate move that has a chance to one-hit KO. That could work out for you. You've seen Tinglu in VGC. I mean, what if the stars align and you just get a victory? For that reason alone, I mean, all of this nonsense, like double team guillotine on the Crawdaunt, Chester rest, double team on the Kingdra, sheer cold on the Walrun. If you've got such options, there's always a chance, isn't there? There's always a chance that you just defeat anything. There's also the Perish Song game plan on both Lapras and Politoed, which makes it so that everything on the field will faint after 3 turns. So by doing that repeatedly, you're putting the enemy on a clock, and maybe you're stalling turns with double team. Problem is, though, that they can just switch out. There's no trapping mechanic here to prevent them from just exiting. So usually Perish Song in doubles is paired with, like, I don't know, I think with Gothitelle in VGC, or Wobbuffet would be against the spirit of a water-type gym leader, but that would maybe work. Perhaps some mean look gaming. So I don't know if that plan will work out against a competitive gamer who knows what they're doing, maybe against Little Timmy in the in-game battle. The reason I say this is a bit disappointing is because this is almost a good synergy with Kingdra and Politoed here, because Politoed makes rain for Kingdra, who has Swift Swim. And if Kingdra was running Surf, that will be a fantastic rain-boosted Surf spread move that hits the whole field, and instead of hitting Politoed for some pretty strong rain-boosted water-type damage, Politoed is immune to water thanks to Water Absorb. It would be a perfect synergy, but unfortunately Kingdra is running Water Pulse instead of Surf as its water move of choice here. So it's only single target, even though you could afford to run the everything target move of Surf with Politoed as your ally. So that could be a good synergy that is just not happening here, unfortunately. But with all the nonsense available to Hoenn, I think that the chances of victory against a competitive team are decent here. Up next, we've got Winona, the flying type gym leader, with the most well-rounded team so far in terms of types. Flying offers a lot of different dual type Pokemon, and Winona's taken full advantage, with every single Pokemon on this team having a different dual type. So that's a bonus, that's a plus. There's decent utility going on here with Hypnosis from Noctowl, Reflect on Noctowl. That'll aid the team a little bit, perhaps. You've got Whirlwind on the Skarmory. Maybe it's a Spikes team. Pelipper has Surf. That's a stab spread move that hits everything, and you've got plenty of water resistances to thwart that, so that's all right. Earthquake is going to be really good on a mono flying team, of course, because all of your Pokemon are immune to it. So Dragonite and Altaria here having Earthquake is pretty nice. There are some bad Pokemon on here, though. I mean, Noctowl's really bad. Tropius is atrocious. It does have some stuff going for it here, though, with Sunny Day, Chlorophyll, and Solar Beam, and Earthquake is a good move. So it's not the worst Tropius in the world, I guess, but look at the thing's stats. It's not impressive. Pelipper also average. You do have a pretty nice Dragonite, though. Dragonite has good stats. It's got a Citrus Berry. That's a useful item. Bolt Beam coverage will take you a long way, as will Earthquake off the back of your big attack. And maybe a Hyper Beam could come in handy, too. It's a limiting move that makes you have to charge, but you never know. It could help you. And this Altaria has something going on with the Dragon Dance, Chester Rest package there. It could be a win con, perhaps. It's got Sky Attack, Earthquake. Sky Attack's pretty bad, but it's some sort of flying type stab. And Skarmory is a great Pokemon. Perhaps Skarmory could just make Spikes and Whirlwind stuff. Doesn't seem fantastic in doubles compared to singles, because you're under a lot more fire. But hey, maybe Winona's team could get something done. Who knows? This is not the worst team ever, I suppose. Finally, we have one that's actually pretty scary. Norman is near the top of the list, folks. Norman is the normal type gym leader, and this guy has some stuff. He's running an illegal team here because there's 2 Slackings. Not only is that uncreative, but it's against the species clause. But let's say Norman gets a pass and gets to run 2 Slackings. For the sake of argument. Norman is running the pretty cool combo of Skill Swap with Slacking, because Slacking is a fantastic Pokemon with its stats, but it's got that ability Truant, which is an inherent drawback, preventing it from acting every other turn. But of course, you Skill Swap with it, give it a different ability, now it's kind of just a legendary Pokemon, and that's pretty damn good, isn't it? Now, if either of these Slackings had Earthquake, this would be a different story entirely. It's not the case. We can be thankful, I suppose. This particular Slacking in the lead slot has Blizzard randomly. That's going to hit both foes, but Slacking's special attack is not the best. You have Double Edge, though, for big stab damage. Shadow Ball is a physical attack this gen, and that's good coverage. Even Fire Blast is not too bad, because it'll hit steel types trying to resist your moves. So that's okay. Blissey itself is alright. I mean, it can sing something. It's very bulky. This one's running Focus Punch, though. Might as well just not run anything. Blissey with Focus Punch? What are you doing with that? That's a wasted slot. You've got Kangaskhan, who has Fake Out, and that's pretty much all you need on this. Fake Out is actually kind of good to support the big Slacking. That could actually disrupt stuff and allow Slacking to do its thing. more effectively. You even have Endure Reversal, which is not a bad combo. I mean, it's weak to Tyranitar's Sand, but Tyranitar is not necessarily that ubiquitous in doubles compared to singles in Gen 3, so this could pull off some pretty good value with the Kangaskhan. Tauros is one of the best Pokemon in Gen 3 doubles with its powerful Intimidate ability, a high speed, and a great move pool, and this one happens to be running Earthquake at least, which is good. You got Takedown for some sort of normal stab. Protect is a good doubles move, shielding you from your own spread moves from allies and whatever else is incoming against you. Fire Blast, I mean, Tauros has poor special attack, but if you're going to run any special attack, Fire Blast is probably the best one to run to hit steel types. So the Tauros is going to be pretty decent. Spinda is the weak link here as by far the worst Pokemon on the team, but at least it has skill swap for the other Slacking. So if it just lives a hit miraculously, maybe with support from the Slacking itself hyper beaming something on its one turn it's active, then you skill swap, give Slacking Truant, now it can do more stuff. Perhaps that's good. It's all got Hypnosis to put something to sleep as long as it doesn't miss. That's powerful. Teeter Dance and Facade are kind of nothing. Maybe you confuse something, I don't know. And the final Slacking has definitely a worse set than the first Slacking. It's got Hyper Beam instead of Double Edge. That's going to be limiting because you're left charging. At the same time, though, that's a really, really hard-hitting attack with Stab on it. Flamethrower is good. Thunderbolted might be all right, and Shadow Ball is good. So overall, this team, it could get some stuff done. It's got a good idea. Skill swap Slacking is a real strategy used in Gen 3 doubles sometimes. It's a bit of a gimmick, but it can be all right. Usually Alakazam is the best skill swapper because it's fast and it can do it first before a lot of things. But of course, that would be breaching the normal type gym leader clause that Norman is beholden to. So as far as a normal type team goes, I mean, this is good. There's no Snorlax here. Snorlax would be great. Good Pokemon in Gen 3 doubles, but the Pokemon here are all pretty solid except for Spinda, but even Spinda has some utility that's valuable. This could get a win on the ladder, on the Gen 3 doubles ladder, if that's on for Ruins of Alph Spotlight. You could queue it up with this and reasonably maybe get a win. It might be a bit difficult against meta teams, but this is alright. This has some actual legs to stand on. And at the very top, it's pretty close between Roxanne and Norman, to be honest. Norman has a lot going for him, but I think that Roxanne is a bit better, and I would say Roxanne is the most powerful Hoenn Gym Leader competitively. Roxanne is the rock type gym leader, although she's kind of breaking the rules here by running Steelix. I know Steelix evolves from a rock type, but not a rock type itself. But that's probably gonna benefit Roxanne because a steel ground type on this team is pretty nice for defensive value. This team has a lot of protection. Aerodactyl's running Protect, Omastar's running Protect, Nosepass is, and also a lot of Explosion. And then these naturally synergize. You've got a lot of Explode plus Protect combo, which is really good in doubles. You can trade up with something like the Steelix or even the Nosepass. On top of that, you've got Rock Slide, which is a spread move with stab damage on it. Golem is running Earthquake, which has stab on it as well. And you actually have some synergy with Aerodactyl, who's immune to Earthquake himself. Kabutops is even running Surf, another spread move. Nosepass could cheese you with the double team. It may be illegal, but if we're pretending it's not, that could be an out in an endgame scenario. Aerodactyl also has the benefit of being really fast, really threatening. Hyper Beam could get a KO. Basically, the reason this is good is pretty simple. It's just got a lot of Explode, Protect, and Rock Slide, and even stab Earthquake on Golem. And all those are just really good in Gen 3 doubles, OU, I think. So you could probably just play a fairly normal game of doubles and try to just outplay the enemy, get more value out of your explosions, and get something going here. The Norman team may have higher potential, but at the same time, the Slackings don't have the best moves on them. Actually pulling off the skill swap could be tough. This team, on the other hand, has more fundamentally solid doubles ideas, spread moves, and trading and stuff like this. So I think that this team would probably be the most successful in a competitive environment and have the highest chance to win. And I suppose I can include a bonus one. Wallace in Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire is the water type gym leader, but in Emerald becomes the champion. I know you guys are going to comment about it, thinking that you're a smart aleck. Jimothy, what about Wallace, who technically is a gym leader in Gen 3? Well, here you go, folks. We can judge Wallace's team by similar standards, and Wallace has a pretty nice team here. Wailord has Water Spout on it, that's a big move. You've got Rain Dance to open the game up with a bit of synergy. You even have a Dragon Dance Gyarados, that's a pretty strong win con. Melodic is honestly just a good Pokemon that can recover stall. Ludicolo has the Leech Seed game plan, even synergized it with Swift Swim and Surf, and Double Team for a bit of cheese, a bit of evasion. Both stab options with Giga Drain and Surf on it. Even the Whiscash is alright with stab moves, Amnesia. I suppose Hyper Beam's a bit random, but hey, this is probably the best team here. This is technically would be judged by singles standards though, because when you're fighting the champion, that's a singles battle. But I still think that you could call this the best of all the teams if you're counting it under these parameters. And that does it for my ranking of every Hoenn gym leader and one semi-Hoenn gym leader. What do you think of my ranking, folks? Do you agree or disagree with anything I have said here? Have I overrated Roxanne? I feel like Roxanne is the best, but perhaps I'm wrong. You let me know down below in the comments, and of course, thank you for watching, as always.